ISO was. I knew I knew the name shutter speed. I mean, to be honest, I didn't quite understand how it worked. Like I'll explain it today. So our idea was we have everything that it takes to make a creative pop in the industry. You come, we do you photo shoots, we brand you, graphics design, do you flyers, record in the studio, take you on a radio tour and things like that. So it sounded like a brilliant idea. I invited a couple of people in town, like you guys should come and see our project. Guys were amazed, like how did you guys do this and stuff. So it started well, very well, until maybe 8 months after we had not finished the construction of that place, right? And our rent was left just like 4 months. And the business had not generated 1 franc on its own. Like we've not been paid 100 francs by anybody to do something because we were not yet ready. We were trying to make it perfect and everything, and it was never getting perfect. Electricians would take money, go away, the guy who had to do soundproofing, and we do not have enough funds to run that kind of a project. Our funds, I don't know if I should be sharing the lessons along the way, or we'll talk about the lessons at the end. Let me just give the story so that the flow goes. Our funds were not enough. I did not do a project appraisal. That is, we did not say that do we have enough money to run this from the beginning to the end, while looking at miscellaneous, while looking at things that could possibly go wrong. We did not do any of those. We felt like, 2.4 million, none of us had up to that amount of money individually. We only put that money together because we siphoned our school fees, right? So we do not know that when you have this kind of money, you want to execute this kind of project, maybe we needed like 15 or 20 million. It's just along the line that we started realizing that, guys, we don't have enough money to do this thing, so we need to start thinking of how to do it. So on the 8th month, after we had paid our rent, I was like, you guys know what, this thing is not working. Let's change strategies, right? We're going to create our own music recording labels because we already had some recording material. And I had a very good relationship with some people in town. Everybody knew that I was one rich guy. I had so much money and stuff. So if I call somebody to do something for me, they'll gladly want to do it because they know that when our studio gets ready, they'll come back and use our studio for little or nothing. You'll be a favor for favor. So we created a recording label, 2016, I think. 2016, yes. We had 4 artists. How many of you guys know Vernon? Tina? Yeah. Tina recorded her first song in her studio. Like, it was a song she wanted to do for her sister's wedding, I think. She came with the idea. She had some very genius ideas which were out of the box at that time. And she did that song. And later on, we contacted her like, okay, let's work together. We'll do stuff for you and we'll do your videos and everything and stuff. We had Tina, we had Young Holiday, who has heard of Young Holiday? Yeah, we had Young Holiday, we had like 3 or 4 other artists. So, we started that record label, and the idea was, if we can make these artists popular, right, then people would know that our company has the recipe to make artists popular, and record labels will bring their artists to us and pay us to make them popular. It was a very straightforward business model. Until 2016, later on in 2016, September, the crisis struck, and things became very difficult for us in Bamenda. That notwithstanding, I was like, guys, at that time, 2016, Dr. Ken Stevens was not as popular as he is now, but he was getting the respect for his creativity at that time. He was like mad creative. The videos he was dropping were like every new week or every 2 weeks, there was a new video from him. And I was like, guys, the future of the entertainment industry is not in music, it's in production. So let's have these artists stand in front and we build a machine behind them that can produce music, shoot music videos, do photo shoots and everything for them. And once our artists are getting good stuff, people will be able to come to us and we'll do it for them, right? So I had a camera, I had a friend of mine. He's one of the most talented people I've ever seen in my life. He could make beats on Fruity Loops. He could edit videos on Magic's Movie Maker. He learned Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects by himself. Then we have this guy, Andrew Kramer, who used to do tutorials. That guy would just watch an Andrew Kramer video and do it. He was so good at learning things. So he was like my cash cow, right? So I was like, with this guy, I can beat my chest even to Pete Bacardi or anybody that I can do the best music videos. So 2016, around the crisis, we said we were going to shoot one music video for Young Holiday. We wanted it to be a dope project. And I was the video director because I'm the one who most often had ideas and stuff like that. So we drafted how we were going to shoot that music video. And the day we finished shooting, we had to start editing, right? I remember that morning about 8 a.m. because I used to have a job in between running that business. I used to have a job because we needed money to be financing those things. So I worked for a business development company as a marketing manager. So one morning around 8 a.m., my friend, I will not call his name, right? He sends me a text message. We had just finished shooting the music video, so editing had to start quick. And I knew that he was like the editing machine and everything. Earlier, prior to that, his parents had been putting him some pressure to travel out of the country and stuff because crisis, town was not stable. They were not comfortable that he does not have a job and he's not doing anything. I mean, all our parents had that concern, but it was really bad for him. So that morning, I had all the video files in a hard drive, and he sent me a text like, "Hey bro, what's up?" I'm like, "Master, I was thinking about how we can start editing and all of that." He sends me a picture of him in the airport and says, "Bro, I'm sorry. I know you count on me a lot, but it was out of my hands. I could not do anything." I was broken. The future of that company lied on him. I was broken. I was lost. There were artists then who were looking at us to do something for them. We had gone too far to stop. Like, I could not just say, okay, this guy is no longer around. Let's just call it a wrap. It's been nice doing business with you. I could not do that. So I was like, okay, if this guy used to learn these things by himself, that was 2016, I'm going to learn it myself. I'm going to learn it too. So I went online, what is the best software to edit videos with? Everybody was saying Adobe Premiere, Adobe Premiere. I was like, okay, fine, I never have a computer, but I had a computer in the desk at the office where I was working. So I installed Adobe Premiere on it, and I was like, how do you edit a video in 5 minutes, right? So I don't want somebody to spend time there. Just tell me how to do it. Spend 5, I'm smart, right? I'll get it. I specify at the end of my search in 5 minutes. So I don't want videos that are 1 hour or 2. I don't have that kind of patience. So one person gives you the general idea, you go and try it doesn't work, you're like, this thing is not working. I think one time I went to Choose, you guys know Choose? Yeah, I went to Choosey's place at, used to be at Frontier Street, and I saw him editing the video for, I stand, what's that girl's name? I saw you, I never see, it's time for coming, it's going strong. What's this girl's name? Olga. Her name is Olga. She did this video, Strong. That was the hardest video I had ever seen in Cameroon at that time. It was co-directed by him and Yonka. I was like, see, if these guys are doing this thing in this Bamenda, I myself am going to learn it too. So I started learning how to edit videos on Premiere. I was not good at it. I succeeded to edit that music video. It was horrible. The performance was not good online. The video is still there. I still mark it at every point in time as the first music video that I ever, as the first video project that I ever worked on. I wish the projector was around. I would have loved to share that video with you all. But I mean, if there's a way that I could communicate with it to anybody, I would be glad to share it because I'm so proud of the fact that that video was the starting point for my career as a filmmaker. From there, I started doing small works in the office, trying to practice my stuff, shoot interviews of our boss, you know, record some bureaus or some pictures, put on it to advertise some of our services. 2016, 2017, 2018, things were very slow. I decided to move out of Bamenda. I came to Yaoundé to see how, you know, I could explore a new environment. It was, to be honest, right? Let me be honest about this. It was not my decision to leave Bamenda. We had a 2 weeks lockdown. There was no internet connection and there was no light. Do you know what it means to stay in the house for 2 weeks without electricity, without internet, and you cannot move out, you cannot step out? You sleep the whole of the first day, the whole of the second day you can no longer sleep because you slept so much. There's no light, you cannot do anything. You probably converse with all your neighbors and any conversation is now getting uncomfortable for you to have. It's like draining out your energy. And I was like, I cannot live in this place. I took a bike one morning, went to finance, came to Yaoundé, started living with my elder cousin. And while in Yaoundé, I started meeting, you know, people who were doing photography at that time, you know, because guys in Yaoundé were really advanced in photography. They used soft boxes. I'd never seen what a soft box was. So I started learning, and in 2019, because of the people that I knew, and people who knew me from back in Bamenda, as this big guy who had a big entertainment company that was doing big stuff, somebody recommended me for a job. A very nice, beautiful lady. She worked for an organization and they were having their international congregation in Yaoundé for 5 days at Hilton Hotel. At the end of that 5 days, I was paid about $6,000. That was, at that time, the biggest money I've ever made.
$6,000?
Yeah, $6,000. That's like how much we were paid. So I didn't go home with all of that because when I got that job, I did not have a memory card, which was mine. We're not even talking of camera. We're not talking of flash or computer. Well, I had a desktop then, but that thing could not even do anything, right? But that's what I've been doing my wedding stuff. So before that, in between that time, I used to help my uncle at the studio too, to do weddings and stuff. So I've been shooting weddings ever since I was with my uncle, but that was never really my business. That was never really my business. It was just because, you know, I love doing it, and, you know, it's a thing that always makes sure that there's some money in my pockets from time to time. So when I came to Yaoundé, I was like, okay, I need to start working with people in Yaoundé and stuff. So when I got that contract, I think it was September 2019, it was 5 days in Hilton from Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I called, I think, 7 of any creative that I knew, because when they gave me the contract, I had this advantage that I can tell, no matter what it is that you want, I have an idea about it. I can have a conversation with a medical doctor about a surgery. I will have an idea. You cannot misplace me in that conversation. I can have a conversation with a network engineer about configuring the network of a 12-story building. I cannot get missing in that conversation. I can have a conversation about doing an audit for a multinational firm. I will not get missing in the conversation. So I was very well read. I had an idea in I don't want to say everything, in a lot of things. So when I got that job, I decided to buy a camera. In 2019, the big battle of cameras was Canon 5D Mark IV or the Sony A7 III, which had just come out the year before. So when I was a YouTube-oriented guy, you know, everybody in town was buying Canon 5D Mark IV. But when I check on YouTube, everybody on YouTube YouTube was not so popular then in 2019, not so long ago. YouTube was not so popular like it is today. Everybody was like, A7 is the bomb, it's magic. But then when I come to Canon, if I buy a Sony, how many people have lenses of Sony that I can go and beg from them or stuff like that? So I used some resources that I had from some other partners that I was working with at that time. And I got the Sony A7 III, I got the 50mm lens, because I was told that anybody that is buying a camera and wants to be serious must have a 50mm. And I bought the 27 to 28 to 75 f2.8 thermal lens, and you know, I started my career at that time as a filmmaker and a photographer. That camera, in maybe 3 years, did everything that I can take credit for. It was the best purchase I'd ever made in my life. It was the best decision I'd ever made to buy something. It changed my parcours on production. I started doing very clean videos. And then I started working with NGOs, organizations, because a lot of NGOs, some of you guys probably heard Gemma introduce me as a development filmmaker. Has anybody heard that before? What it means to be a development professional? What it means to... Can you share with us, Daniel, what is it?
Kind of documentary video and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the development space is likened to the NGO, the non-profit organization space, where people don't do work for profit. People do work to be able to lobby for other people to support them so that they can continue doing their work, right? So if I were to speak here, I'm not speaking here so Grace should pay me. I'm speaking here so Grace should be able to catch the attention of somebody who would want to support this and maybe give us $10,000 for the next Creative Connect that we want to do, right? So I used to work with organizations who had those kind of objectives. Along the way, I became really famous in that space, right? Because I used to do really good pictures, I used to do really good videos, and I did not forget the company we started, Vanilla City Entertainment. And then at this time I was alone. All my partners had gone to different towns. I was the only one here, and I was like, that vision we started in 2015 is not going to die. So I could have given the company or the name I was working with any other thing. I could have named it any other thing, right? And nothing would change. But I was like, it has to be something that has to do with vanilla. Because ultimately my goal has to be to create that vanilla city in Cameroon, which MI had a correspondence in Nigeria. Anyway, just this is not important. Along the way, him and I we exchanged some emails and we spoke on some things. Resources cut it short, but I'm hopeful that in the future we'll be able to concretize some work in that respect. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start a production company, and I'll call it Vanilla Boy Studios. The idea is Vanilla Boy is the person that is producing everything for Vanilla City and stuff like that. So when I had to do some legal, like some international work, I had to travel out, I needed to make some legal papers. I was like, okay, the name of the company will be Vanilla Boy Studios. But in my mind, Vanilla Boy Studios is a subsidiary of Vanilla City Entertainment Company and all of that. Sometime when I'll really get money, I'll come back into the music space, make some artist stuff. So, for maybe 5 years, I've been working in that capacity. I've been a filmmaker. I've been working in the development space with NGOs. I've worked with the World Food Program. I've traveled to East Africa just within that same context of work. I got married. I have a beautiful family, and my whole life lives off the work that I do as a photographer and filmmaker, right? So that's the brief story. That is the parcours to how I've gotten to this place where I am. And right now, when Grace told me that he wants us to talk about Creatives Connect, I jotted down some 4 points which I said would be guidelines to how we're going to roll, right? Let me leave this position again. So now it's going to get interactive. The first thing I want us to talk about, to explore together, is the concept of creativity. We are all here under the canopy of creatives. But let's really talk about creativity. Who is a creative person? And what makes one person more creative than another? Because the end result is, at the end of this, we all should be able to know how to be more creative than we were when we need to be better creatives than when we got here, right? So we need to understand, first of all, what is creativity and what makes your creativity improve. Is this something that can actually improve? Are people born creative, or do people learn how to become creative? Right? All right, so who believes here that creativity is something that is born inside? That you're born creative?
Believe in it too.
Raise your hand, be proud of it, be proud of it. Come your hand is halfway, it's either up or down. Who believes that creativity is something that you are born with? That some people have, wait, this is the implication of this, right? It means that some people have it, and some other people don't have it. Who believes that? Alright, so this also implies that somebody, alright, so let's look at the other half. Who are those who believe that somebody who is not creative, like, you know, like Welly and Dango say, who believes that somebody who is not creative can learn how to become creative? That way your hand cannot be up again.
That's why my hand was halfway.
Alright, so Cliff, alright, so pardon me if I missed one. Where was your hand?
Born creative.
Born creative. Do you believe that somebody who is not creative, somebody who was probably a cashier somewhere, can come and attend this event and go back and become a creative?
Yes.
What is the transition between a creative and a non-creative? Because we need to understand it, right? For you to move between non-creative and creative, there are some people here who are probably just aspiring, because I think on the flyer it said aspiring creatives. So aspiring means that you're not yet a creative, you've not done any creative work. I'm putting creative here in quotes, right? Because I'm still to learn. There are some people who are not yet creatives and who want to become creatives. What is the transition? Can somebody help us to share their opinion or their understanding of it? Yes, Ruby.
Okay, I think that it depends on the field in question.
Okay.
Because I am coming from a field of engineering, for example, and I was really not creative in that aspect. You see, some people are just like blocked in some certain spheres where they cannot express their originality. For example, we have our parents who wanted us to follow a certain path, and contrary to our classmates in that particular field, they were not creative. And then you find something else that comes more natural to you, and then you become more creative. So that's why my hand was up for the first halfway up and halfway up again the second time.
Okay.
That's just what I think. I think it depends on the field. People just have to find that field, that niche, that thing that just comes natural to you, and then you realize that creativity will become easier.
I did not think of it that way. That's interesting. Thank you. Please, let's start for one. All right. So, like I said, I think by virtue of the way she introduced me, I have the prerogative to share my opinion. I'm here to share my opinion too, right? I think that in this day and time where we are, creativity is a myth. Creativity is a legend that has been spoken about, but nobody knows what it is. And as much as I know from my scientific background, it does not exist. Don't go and post, don't post yet. Somebody wants to post on me. Somebody wants to tag me already. Don't tag me yet. Listen, let me explain. Let me explain. What people refer to as creativity does not exist. This is my opinion. It's very controversial. I know. And I'm going to explain why. I think that in our sphere, I believe we're all commercial, right? Is there anybody here that works for free? Maybe does exhibitions to advocate, maybe a course or something? We're all commercial, we get paid to work, right? Right? Yeah. Great. When How many of us here shoot weddings, for example? I want to use very practical examples. How many of us shoot weddings? Great. When you want to take the detail of the couple's rings, for example, be honest. How many times have you done something that came straight out of your head and not something that you've seen somewhere else? Let's be honest. When couples or clients tell you that I don't know how to pose for a picture in a photo shoot, and you have to position them, how many times is that positioning something that you knew from the time you were born? All of it is information, is knowledge that we have gathered along the way. I will not lie. I hope my clients are not watching this. The credit I got for being creative, I cannot give it to something called creativity. I want us to start seeing that we need to give that credit to what is called knowledge and information. It is knowledge and information that is available to you that permits you to be more creative than another. You cannot be a good you cannot do documentaries if you, you cannot be a good documentary filmmaker if you don't know what a good documentary film is. You cannot take a good portrait if you don't know what a good portrait is. You cannot do a good TikTok video if you don't know what a good TikTok video is. You were not born knowing what a good TikTok video is. I was not born knowing what a good documentary looks or sounds like. Neither was Welly born knowing what a good portrait or a bridal shoot looks like. You had information along the way. So I believe that, in my understanding, according to the slideshow that I did, the human brain has an empty space in it. This is not a scientific fact, right? This is me trying to explain something. Nobody should, Facebook should not take down this video or something. The human brain has an empty part in it, which is what probably a lot of us refer to as our creativity. But from the time we are born, that part is empty. And we start learning what we use to fill it up with. And as time progresses, as we keep adding information into it, whenever we need to pick up something from that creative box, right, we have to choose between everything that we have learned inside. So it's like a box that you always send your hand inside to pick up ideas. If you don't fill up ideas in it, you will not have ideas to pick out of it. If you don't watch documentaries all the time, you will never know what to do in a certain scenario when producing a documentary. If you don't watch what other photographers are posting as their portraits on Instagram all the time, you will not have enough ideas on how to post your own clients or enough ideas. A lot of us are guilty of having taken the credit of, you did something, your client, and wow, this guy is very creative, and you're like, yeah! Whereas, you and I know, no, it's not copy and paste, please. Let's get this straight. You're not copying and pasting, you're not stealing either. You are building your creativity. Are you together? Hello, the lady in pink, what's your name, please?
I'm Betty.
Come again.
Betty.
Betty, all right, okay. And the guy behind? Promise. Promise, all right, Promise and Betty. You are not stealing if you get inspired by what you have seen to do something, right? You are building your creativity. Which brings me now to the summary of it. How can you become an optimum creator or an optimum creative within your niche of creativity? I will not speak a lot about niche because I think Tango shared some very insightful perspectives on it, which I don't want to repeat. For you to become optimal, that is to improve in what you do, you need to see what others are doing in it. And you don't need to see it only once in a while. You need to be seeing it all the time. All the time. You cannot be a TikTok content creator and you're not seeing what others are doing on TikTok. You are lying to yourself. Sometimes you see something that somebody has done and 1 second in it, you just take out that 1 second and you build a whole new storyline out of it. Were you creative? No. Your creativity box had information that you could pick from. Are we together? So for you to build yourself as a creative, you need to know what creative works look like. So I'm imploring each and every one of us, if you are a wedding photographer, if you're a graphics designer, if you are a marketing officer who is doing short marketing videos, you're a documentary filmmaker, or whatever you are, start consuming what is the most creative content in your field. It is only then that your mind can learn how to improve itself in terms of what we call creativity. So I believe in work and not natural intuition and things like that. Are we together? Yeah. Questions? Questions? Was it too much?
No.
So if there are no questions, it means either I did not explain well, or I explained so perfectly, which I am doubting I did. Are we together? Can we go ahead?
Yes.
All right. Yes, Betty.
Okay, taking an example with the TikTok issue, right? There's what they call the TikTok trends and all that. Like somebody will start a video and tell you to recreate it or redo it and tag and all that. Now, the first person that starts that, where did he get that from? Did he see it from somewhere else too?
So, there is, I don't believe that, I understand what you say very well. It's a very good question. But like I mentioned, there's a time when you can pick out just one thing from what somebody has done. You take out just 1 second from it and you expand it on your own scale. Right? Sometimes some other people have seen somebody do something and they just start. You think that they are starting it. No. They have seen something from another person that has given them an idea that they already. Like sometimes also, creativity could mean picking out maybe 4 different ideas from your idea box and bringing them together. You already had like 2 other ideas you had seen. You see another idea like, okay, this would merge beautifully with some 2 or 3 other ideas that I have. And then you put them together and you create. But is it really created?
Replicated.
And you create, but is it really created? So I think that the creative industry is not a primary sector. We are more in the secondary sector of production. We don't have raw materials. We process. Right? Is that clear? All right. Any other question? All right. I think we've trashed one. Is my 1 hour off?
No.
I was given 1 hour.
Yeah, stay on.
I've gotten my alarm already. It means they've added me 1 more time. Alright, they've added me, I think, some time. So I'll try to be faster now.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay. Taking into consideration the fact that maybe you pick your idea, you develop an idea from somewhere or from something you saw somewhere. What about these people in the villages where you just see a child, I don't know, there's no, let's say there's no internet, there's nothing that you can like get inspiration from, then they start creating something just like that. How is that?
Give us an example.
Let's say art and craft.
Yes.
Don't say a child just
use clay to start carving things.
like yes, like maybe just building something like from maybe
Something like what? Give us an example.
actually they wouldn't buy that, but that things like
No, we need an example.
Musicians, for example, like
Music.
Mozart at a very young age, he started composing songs and things like that. Some small kids that had never
How-
learned how to play the piano, and they just start and composing music on their own, and then they start calling them prodigies and stuff like that.
Great, very great example. Music, right? Is there a professional musician here to your brother? How many notes are there in music?
12.
Can somebody do music out of that? No. Do you see how music is? You have a space to walk in.
But they did not learn it anywhere.
Okay, I want to say something about like this particular aspect. The issue is everybody has something in them. There's that aspect first of all. That kid who that is just started playing the piano. There's first of all the part of him being born with that nature, because everybody has his uniqueness. So it's in you. So now when you hear the sound, it triggers it from inside. So you just need to hear, and then okay, you've heard. The keyboard tells you this is C, this is D, this is this. Once you play it and you get those 12 notes, everything you hear now, you produce it from there.
But he is saying that it's not from inside, that you must have seen it.
I'm coming, please. I'm coming, please.
Just like this Mona Lisa painting.
Mona Lisa, yes.
That Leonardo da Vinci painted that painting. Where did he get the inspiration to paint that painting? If art is not on the road, not meeting
Okay. Alright, interesting things, right? Did you understand what he said?
He said that the child has it from inside, it's in the parent or something.
Now, we're going to talk about something, right? This is... At what point do you get satisfied? That's what differentiates that inner thing that he's talking about. There's a point of retouching where I get satisfied. There's a point of retouching where he gets satisfied. We're all trying to achieve the same thing, right? Somebody can go an extra length to become a small child at the youngest age. People already start defining what satisfies them or not. At that very young age, you can hear something that satisfies you and something that doesn't. That is what defines that inner person, that internal level of creativity that he's talking about. It does not mean that you're stopped there. You don't, like I can be satisfied listening to some really noisy music. He can be like, this thing is so noisy, I'm not satisfied listening to it at this point. I want it to become better, maybe less instruments, maybe more backups, maybe it's individual. It's about your taste as a person. Two of us can consume the same information every day. Our individual tastes will define what I will produce and what he will produce. That taste is unique to each person. No two people like the same thing the same way. And that's what makes some really excellent musicians and some really mediocre ones. The mediocre ones listen to what they have done and they're like, I'm satisfied with this. Yeah, bro. The excellent ones listen to it and they're like, nah, it's not enough.
So if one person is satisfied, then the other one is like, it's not enough. Why is one excellent and one mediocre when everybody has their own taste?
So, thank you. I think I should mention, I wanted to add this input during the panel discussion. The aspect of you as a creative being excellent in what you do. You can brand yourself all you want. You can network all you want. You can post every day, every night. The moment somebody gives you a job and you don't deliver, they will not come back. It goes the same way the other direction. There are people who don't advertise their businesses because they've always needed to have just one client. Once you have that one client will bring you every client that you need. Coming back to this, being excellent, like being top of the shelf, right? As much as we can say it's an individual thing that could happen, right? There are universal standards that must apply to it. We can 2020 you do in 7P and you say that something was done, whereas I'm seeing 4K things everywhere. Maybe you got satisfied at 720. But me, my satisfaction has to be at 4K. Maybe I did a picture and I was holding something in it and you're like, you're not able to fill it up with, that's very abstract. Let's just say I'm standing, I give you a picture to enlarge, maybe a wedding picture, because I don't want that person there and you're like, you cannot do things like that. I'm like, why are you complaining that? Because I need more, and you're not giving up to what I know can be given. So, so this also supports the fact that creativity, what we think and know as creativity is knowledge, because you cannot deliver the best level. You cannot deliver the best level if you don't know what the best level is. So maybe doing the painting, the painter must know that there is a level already that I need to surpass. That's why you need to see what others are doing. To know what you need to do better than. And that's not something that it's something that you learn, you got. Are we together? The best MC. You need to see who people call the best MC at once. Who do people say is the best MC these days? You cannot be the best MC if you've not seen what that person is doing. Are we together? Who is the best documentary filmmaker in the world? Who makes the best films? You cannot make a best film without watching what that person has done. Are we together?
In a most I agree with what you say, because to me I see creativity in the sense of breaking rules. You learn the rules, then you break them.
Know how to break them. Know how to break them. Yes, not every rule has to be broken. Yes. Know how to break them. Are we together? Questions, please. I think I love the questions more. Any other question? All right, so we'll go to one more thing. And all right, I don't want to take much more time. There is this thing that they always say. I think this would mostly, maybe it affects everybody, right? Gear is not important. Gear does not matter. Gear does not matter. Who has heard that before? That gear does not matter. It means that the equipment you are using is not important.
That's a gear.
It does not matter. It's your creativity that matters. Who has heard that before? Every YouTuber always says it doesn't matter, right? But there is the Sony SOS. Marcus Brownlee will say it doesn't matter. He started with his laptop computer and all of that. What's that with your own laptop computer now? In 2007, he had a Dell computer. Was it HP or Dell? How many children his age had computers at that time? Game doesn't matter. That's a fat lie. That if you want to be a top-notch creative, you need to remove from your head. But this is the modification I want us to make. Owning gear does not matter. Remove the fact that gear does not matter, and add in front of it that owning that gear does not matter. And it's not something that should stop you. And that's the second thing I want us to share. In 2021, yes, a journalist who used to work with the state broadcaster, she just came back to Cameroon. She was in the US for 2 years. She did a program at the New York Film School. So when she was coming back to Cameroon, she brought a drone, cameras, you know, DJI Osmo. I think I have it here. Alright. Yeah, awesome. These are some of the things that she brought back. She left me this before going.
Plan B.
So she said she was looking for somebody who could fly a drone. In 2021, I bought my, okay, so along that company, right, that company line, I found a guy, Guy Mufo. He was selling toy drones. Around 2016, 2017, like that, when we were in our apartment, that was Shanty Construction, I bought a toy drone for 40K, I think, and I started using it to learn how to fly a drone. So the drone had 0 wind resistance. It was you can imagine a drone for 40K. It was in every sense of it horrible. It would get missing sometimes. We'll lose control of it while it's in the air. We'll have to run around the whole place waiting for it to figure out where to land, and we go and climb a tree sometimes to take it off. But it gave me I mean, to pilot, drone pilots, you know, to pilot a drone is not complicated. You just have 2 joysticks to work with. And I've been a very good PlayStation guy, so my 2 thumbs had really known how to work symbiotically. So learning how to fly a drone was not a problem for me. I could use a joystick very well. A drone is just a joystick. So when she came to Cameroon, she was like, she's looking for a drone pilot. Somebody gave her my number. She contacted me, and she was like, how can I meet you? I sent her my Google Maps. Boom. She was like, somebody in Cameroon uses maps. She was just coming from the US. She's like, somebody in Cameroon does this. Let her try to follow it. She followed it and came to my house and see me up. She never see me up. When she got there, she was like, just the fact that I sent her that Google Maps, she was so impressed with me. So she brought some equipment to see if I could use them. I was feeding off YouTube like crazy at that time, so I knew what she brought the DJI Air, right? That time it was 2021, I think it was DJI Air that was just out. They released the Air 3 recently. So when the Air came out, I was like, okay, watching videos, how are you guys doing it? All right, so I was familiar with the drone. I knew how to set it up theoretically. I knew which app it uses. So when it came, I was like, oh yeah, I know this drone already. Took out my phone. Have you downloaded the app? She's like, she's not sure which app it is. I'm like, cool down, it's the DJI Fly. She's like, how do you know that? I'm creative, that's how I am. So I downloaded the app. She was so impressed. I took up she was worried. She did not want me to fly. I was like, chill. I took the drone, took some shots. It was my first time using that drone as well. She was like, this guy is special. From that year, she took me under her, not like a protege, not like a trainee, but like her son. She's somebody that it's thanks to her that I got to I traveled out of the country they pay your flight, put you in hotels, you work in presidential convoys, go to the presidency yard in foreign countries to do videos. Like, I went to places I would never have imagined. So, with my time with her, I got to realize that the most important thing that as a filmmaker I could do, right, was to know the gear that matters and know how to use it. And most importantly, know who has it. Know who has it, right? 2021, she hooked me up. Well, I was a part of her team, right? I was like her right-hand man. we went to work for the African Cup of Nations, AFCON, which was hosted here in Cameroon. I was not the technical staff in the AFCON. I was not working on the production of matches. We were rather doing magazines. That was like one of the most that's one job that I did, and I was like, I cannot work in a company or something. Like, you have to be working more. I had like an 8 to, it was not 8 to 5, it was 8 to 9 job, 8 in the morning to 9. In fact, you leave only when you deliver your job for the day. I was the main camera operator, I was the final editor. We had like 3 line editors. I was the final editor that had to put everything from all the other editors together. So if some people are slow, I close late and stuff. After that, I gathered all the money I had. 2021, I bought the camera, Nikon Z800, bought memory cards, bought the Apple M1 Mac Mini, the highest version that was there. I bought stuff, right? And I was like, now I have all the equipment that I need to put myself out there. That was in January, February, March. I can't remember the date in March, but one fateful day, it was a Friday night. I had a wedding the next morning. I was living on the 3rd floor of a storage building. So I used to work late, and on the 3rd floor, we don't have these anti-volts. So we just have these windows. I mean, who would climb up to the 3rd floor, right? So around 2:30 a.m., I was like, let me go to bed. I have a wedding in the morning. I should go and sleep. I went to bed. My son, my first son, newborn, 3 months old, was there. My wife was sleeping next to him. I was like, I need to sleep. I don't know how to go to bed. So if I don't watch a movie and sleep off, I cannot, initiate the sleeping process. So I was like, let me watch a movie so I can fall asleep. While I was watching that movie, I noticed I was sleeping. I put my hand out of the mosquito net, put the phone on the cupboard by the bed. I tucked the mosquito net in because we had a newborn. I woke up in the morning by 6:30 or something. Greeted my wife, reached for my phone. I did not see it.
Okay.
My phone was supposed to be here. Maybe I left it at the office. I don't know, do you leave it at, I did not leave it at the office. I watched Netflix on this day before sleeping. Please call the phone. She dials my number. It's ringing. But I'm not hearing my phone ring. All right, let me go to the, I was in a very big apartment. Let me go to the office space where I was working. I'm going to the office, I passed by the kitchen. I stopped. What's the TV doing in the kitchen? Jesus Christ! The camera back, I had stood there, packed everything ready to go and shoot, gone. Lights I had bought, gone. Hard drives that were connected to my computer, plugged out, gone. Memory card casing with all my memory cards in it, gone.
Jesus.
I had a wedding that morning. That was the day I told my wife that consider us going back to Bamenda as an option. My life is finished. I started doing damage assessment. I did not take my computer down fully. If I had taken my computer, I was like, damage assessment. Okay, everything is gone, stolen. I have no idea. The guys put ladders, climbed. It was so well done. They got into my bedroom, took my iPhone XR I just bought after the AFCON. I was like, I was lost. I put myself together. I called a friend, Kimi. I was like, are you using your equipment today? He was like, no. I was like, see, I've been robbed, everything has been taken, I have a wedding right now, just prepare your camera, I'm coming to take it to go and shoot. I went there, shot that lady's wedding, came back home, and I had moved from 100 to 0 overnight. I mean, I bought a new camera in December, that camera got to Cameroon in January. I was working for AFCON the whole of January, so I not even used that camera for up to 1 month. It was gone. What kind of plans did I not have? See, that thing broke me down psychologically in every way. But like they say, in every bad event occurring, there is a blessing. In every cloudy weather, there's a silver. Is that a quote? There's a silver lining, I think something like that. So from there, I learned that truly, gear doesn't matter. If you guys see me standing here today, this is like 1 year and a few months ago. If you guys see me standing here today, having been able to make all what I've been making, having been able to stay within the business, it means that owning that gear does not matter. And it brings us now to the lesson I want us to go with. You need to learn how to connect with people and know who has what you need and learn how to use it to get what you have to do. It's true that our equipment that we use are very important. As a graphics designer, I used to have the Pentium 4 or something. I had a horrible experience working with that thing. I bought an i7 laptop. It was horrible because when I bought my Sony, I had an i7 laptop. That thing could not edit a 4K video. I was suffering. Editing was a tedious process until I decided to buy Apple. I'm not doing my advertisement. No, nobody paid me for this. This has not been sponsored. But when I bought my Apple system, the M1, when I was going to buy, I was like, see guys, I don't want anything that will stress me. That machine is $1,600. That's like, my editing life changed. My life as an editor changed when I bought that machine. Which says that that machine is important. But you don't need to have it to start working as a creative. Everybody needs 4K videos these days. If you don't have a 4K camera, you don't need to wait to buy it before you start working. There are people who have it and they do rentals as their business. There are friends of yours who have it. Learn to leverage on the people that you know. You might want to do a shoot that is a telephoto lens that you need. Don't say that I don't have a telephoto lens. Ask around. You must find some. If you don't have somebody who has it or your contact, we don't know somebody who has it, delete everybody's number and start looking for the right contacts. If you don't know people who have what you need to do your work, that means you're not having the right network. That's a red flag for you. I don't have a studio space, not because I cannot have one, but I think maybe 2020 to 2021, I have all my studio equipment that I need, right? But I was running my studio in my house. When I got married, I couldn't be having clients come to my house again. It was no longer my house. It's now my wife's space, it's now my children's space. I don't know my clients. I can't have people come to my house like that. So, as clients can no longer come to I need to look for another space to work. And I tell you guys, I've never in this Yaoundé lacked somewhere to do a photo shoot. All my clients, if you take my roster of people I've done photo shoots for, ask them that where is Glen Studio. You have like 5 different places that I was telling you. His studio is at Simeon, his studio is at Etugebe, his studio is at Nguso. And I think that it's working for us, right? I think you're the one who said we should not try to eat all the money alone. I think it was Cliff who said that, right? I don't have a problem if you have Grace has a space here. I don't have a problem charging a photo shoot for 25K. And I'm like, bro, take 5K and pay your bills. I'll do my photo shoot here. He has something, I have something, remove. The problem with working with your networks is a lot of us, all of us, me inclusive, we've been guilty of not wanting to share the money. We've been guilty of wanting to eat all the money by ourselves. Right? And I wanted to add another module to what I'm saying, which is charging for what you give. But this is so deep, so in-depth, because I'm an accountant by education. It's such a huge thing to talk, we will not have time. So Grace, I'm promising you that if you organize a second edition, I'm going to talk about pricing and everything that I've learned in my career in it, right? Yes, I promise that. like that. If you are charging photo shoots for 2,000 francs for one picture, ask yourself that if I were to pay somebody to use their studio, if I were to pay somebody to use their camera, and if I'm to pay somebody to use their lights and every other thing, will I still be able to charge this photo shoot at this amount and make something for myself? If not, then your business is not even breaking even. I'm already getting into what I said I'm not getting into. Are you understanding what I'm saying? It means you're not paying yourself as the owner of a studio, you're not paying yourself as the owner of equipment, you're paying yourself just as a photographer. At the end of the day, you're going to use the payment you had as a photographer to pay your studio bills. You're going to use it to replace your equipment when they get bad. And that's bad business. How many of you in your business set aside some money for your side that this is my salary? I'm the boss of my company. Every money passes through me. But my wife knows that I make 400K a month. The company makes more and that is none of our business. When you're budgeting what you want to buy in the house, my salary per month is 400K. Some months I will not get paid because the company has not made enough money. But if the company makes more money, you don't get paid more than that. Because I need to pay for other things too. So it's very important that, are we together? Am I making sense?
More sense.
So it's very, very important that you understand your pricing model. I mean, pricing, finance management, I promise you guys, if I'm doing another presentation on that somewhere, I'm delivering a keynote, I'll try as much to invite as many people, but it's something that is very vital in managing a business as a professional. Creatives just believe that maybe our work does not have value. A lot of creatives, if I break it down, one person after the other, you realize you guys are not getting paid. You're doing the work, but you're not getting paid. People are giving you money, but you're not getting paid.
I'm not getting paid.
Are we together? So that's another thing that we have to do. So the take-home message here is, see, the gear that you need is very important, but you having that gear by yourself is not a priority. I'm going to pick out one person's field and break this down very practically and we'll move on to the next. Filmmakers, I'm saying this because that's my fault, that's where I am good. As a filmmaker, if you have 2 million francs, don't buy a camera. If you're a filmmaker and you have 2 million francs, don't go and buy a camera. No. What is filmmaking? Lights, camera, sound, props. Everybody has a camera now. Inside BA, like 10 different cameras in here. If you want to do this live stream with 10 cameras, we'll do it. Am I lying? No, sir. There are cameras everywhere. But people don't have sound equipment. People don't have wireless HDMI transmitters.
Yeah, that's
painful.
There are a lot of things that I can start listing that people don't have. Why are you going to buy another thing that you can get from somebody else? If all of us here own cameras, will all of us be good filmmakers? No. So before I buy an equipment, let me tell you guys a secret. Before I buy an equipment, I ask myself, this thing that I'm about to buy, do I have somebody I can be getting it from reliably? I have a list of everything that I need as a professional. Do I have somebody I can be getting this from reliably? If I have, I go on to the next. I don't need to buy this thing now. I make sure that I organize the list of things that I need according to priority and availability. Are we together? Sometimes you can buy a lens before you buy a camera. And it's okay. Everybody has a Canon and a 50mm. Grace, I need camera. You go to Canon do 50mm. Tango, Canon do 50mm. Everybody has a 50mm. Buy a telephoto and keep. Everybody will come to you for your telephoto. You go to them for their camera. You guys will work. Everybody will have what they need. Don't go and buy another Canon and add. ad with another 50 million, you're not helping the community. You're not being of use to the community. Are we together? Yes.
Coming to the point where you say sometimes getting the camera or the gear is not really important. When you talk of you can check the links of those who you can rely on. You know, with human beings, there's nothing guaranteed. You can plan like plan this camera, you know. You can show that this stuff like this. But the day before they got that bro, so
yes.
That kind of thing. So
I mean, and it's not their fault, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see that it's not their fault.
yes, so
Right?
I believe that bad I have their camera. Even with the same 50 minutes, because you are not sure with human beings, man, nothing is sure.
No,
nothing. You are just like the big guys.
Yeah.
That same day, like nobody, like they don't, it's not available.
Yeah.
So what do you do at that point? You have to work with the client and they, like, because your word, this domain, your word, like your word is even more heavier than your name.
Exactly.
Actually. So your reputation is on the line. What do you do? So it shows that you need to get that camera on that same 50 minutes that everybody has. That boy is down to. Yes.
Yeah. I want to say something on this. I think in the field of professionalism, there are steps. There are steps to go, right? There's a point where you don't need only one camera. Somebody like me right now, I don't have enough cameras. I need to buy cameras. But at least in my house, I have enough cameras that I can shoot an event with. You understand? Now I don't need to call somebody. Don't go and say that guy has his cameras and he has advised us not to buy cameras. I'm telling you that I've reached a level where I know that at least I should have my Nikon Z750 at home. That I can do pictures for an event without calling anybody. Because I have first-hand experienced the pain of what he's saying. Right? You plan for an event, a big job, and then on that day, everybody you're calling, nobody is responding. You are in the middle of a crisis. And when you get to that level, you need to realize that this is the sign that I need to move on, get now an equipment. But at the beginning, we're talking of the start. Maybe that's the mistake I did not make. I did not make at the beginning. Equipment should not stop you from starting. It should not. Right? As you're going ahead, you need to start thinking, all right, the next thing, this thing is never or not always available. I cannot have. Great. I have to get one of these now and keep for myself. I've shot a wedding alone. I did videos with 3 angles. I use GoPro, use Osmo, use my phone. Shot that video alone, 3 angles. I see how I did it. Sometimes the client watches the video, I'm like, you guys are not really appreciating enough what I did for this wedding. People should have given me an award or something, but I mean, the client doesn't care, right? What they want to see is their work. So you need to have like a base, like, okay, I need to have this within my comfort zone, but I should know that what I can do is not limited to what I have. And this has to do with networking with people. Be open. I know people who say they don't rent out their